So today we're going to talk about 7 real life lessons we can learn from the Golden Bachelor breakup. And I'm really excited to be sharing this content with you today. I want to start with a quote though, and the quote is by Albert Camus, and it says the following: "Love is not just a confrontation with the absurdity of the world. It is a refusal to be broken by it." The reason why I'm saying this is many of you who follow my channel know I say it's a sea of dysfunctionality in the dating, mating, and relating realm. And many people are absolutely frustrated beyond belief, kind of hoping that this was a lot easier, meeting the right person, falling in love, and living happily ever after. And many of us in midlife know that isn't the case. In fact, many people in midlife have been married not just once, but they've been married maybe 2 or 3 times, or have had several significant relationships. And yet you would think as we age, as we get older, that we would actually know better. In fact, many people have been saying, well, given that the age of the Golden Bachelor and the Bachelorettes, some of them, Gary being in his 70s, some of the women being in their 70s as well, and most of the women were in their 60s, you would think that with age, we actually know better. And yet the reality is the group of women, the 22 women on the show, as well as the Bachelor himself, were actual amateurs when it came to dating. Several people were widowed, or excuse me, lost their spouse. So they were widowed. He was the widower and they were widows. Okay, if that's the correct terminology. And because of that, they actually didn't have a lot of dating experience. So it's no wonder that this actually is very similar to what happens in real life for those of us in midlife, real life, midlife. I've observed that roughly about 75% of singles out in the dating marketplace who are over 45 years old are divorced, okay? And when someone goes through a divorce, it is an unraveling of the tapestry of a life they once had with another human being. And in many cases, for many people out there, they haven't been out in the dating marketplace for 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe even 30 years. And the world has changed dramatically. In fact, the world has changed so dramatically that in the last 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, closer to 7, swipe apps have changed the entire dating landscape. So we are in a different era, if you will, and many of the Golden Bachelor and the Golden Bachelorettes weren't pros, except for maybe Leslie. It seemed like she had been around the block a few times, and I'm not saying that. I'm only saying this as she's probably had some significant relationships because she oftentimes talked about how much pain she experienced in her love life, and many of us feel rather dejected because it can seem like a very painful process. And yet what fascinates me, particularly about the clients I work with, I was just recently talking to a client, and I'm here to say, when you do the inner work, when you get clarity on the type of relationship that is really aligned for you, and we're going to talk about this in a little more detail in a moment, and when you learn how to vet another human being, in other words, to determine if you're compatible. I'm getting calls each week from clients. Jonathan, I met a great guy. Jonathan, I met a great guy. Jonathan, I met a great guy. And I know the difference. And for some of those clients that are in a relationship, they reach out to me and want some assistance in evaluating the relationship. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm your big brother. If I could be there on a first date for you, I'd have a shotgun pointed at the guy's face and saying, what's your intentions with my little sister? Many clients rely on the support. And actually, one of my skill sets is preparing the conversation to end a relationship that isn't going anywhere. And I get that this is the frustrating part of what's happening out there. And yet I just want to say something to everybody. I hold hope that each one of you, if you stand in your power and you actually act in a pragmatic way of vetting, you have a greater chance of achieving relationship success than your sisters that do little or nothing. I'm here to say you can put the odds in your favor. And I'm here to help you with that. And if you need some support with that, schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link below. Right here, there's a link to schedule a free call with me. All right. So what are the real life lessons we can learn from the Golden Bachelor breakup? Okay. Because many people say this is a fantasy curated experience, but I'm going to tell you something. It mirrors midlife, or excuse me. It mirrors real life in so many ways that I think we have to address this versus the fantasy that it was built up. Okay. So the first way it mirrors real life is there were 22 women to start the process. And that is no different than the hundreds of swipes we go through. Folks, you realize like 30, 40 years ago, the average person was only dating one person at a time? Today, we have hundreds of people to choose from. So Gary, wait a minute, is his name Gary or Jerry? I always mix this up. Gary, even though he had 22 women, it's no different than if he was on a dating app, swiping through the hundreds of women and men out there. This is very similar to midlife. I keep saying midlife. Please forgive me. Real life. So some people say that's a reality show is fantasy. It's not real. No, this is really what we're faced with today, is this misconception that you have all of these people to choose from. And the more you have your act together, the more likely, for someone like Gary, who was 70 years old and he was actually pretty attractive, he looked great, and they made him out to look really great. He probably has options of hundreds and hundreds. Well, now, since the show, he's got options of thousands and thousands of women. That is no different than what we see today in the dating marketplace for that guy who has his act together, that woman. By the way, women who have their act together, they literally get hundreds and hundreds of messages. I speak to my female friends who are on the dating apps. They literally have hundreds of messages in their inbox, and that's no different than what happened in the Golden Bachelor or even the Bachelor and the Bachelorette. Number two, how it mirrors real life is dating more than one person at a time. This is actually very normal. I'm not saying it's very prudent, but it's very normal to be dating multiple people at the same time. Now, what's a little bit different is the women don't know about it usually. That is a difference. But the fact is by the way, this is true for women dating multiple men at the same time and men dating multiple women at the same time. This very much mirrors real life. So there is a similarity between what happened in the show and what happens in real life. Number three. You remember all the women were glammed up on the first meeting? They were glammed up. They had the stylist and the makeup and all that stuff. And you might be going, well, how does that mirror real life? Do you know there's an app on my phone called Glance? It seems to me everybody is doing their photoshopping their own photos for their dating profile pictures. Most everybody photoshops. So the Glammed Experience that he saw, he didn't see the raw experience. He saw the Glammed Experience. That's no different than what's happening in our dating environment today. People's Instagram pages, their Facebook pages are all glammed up in some way. They're glanced, if you will. They're photoshopped, and that's very similar. That's what happened on the show, and that's what happens in real life as well. It's kind of, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not here to criticize any of these things. I'm just stating what I've observed to be the fact out there. Number four, this is probably the most significant aspect of this show, is that it hyper focuses on attraction and romance to create a false picture out there. Now you might be thinking, how does this mirror real life? Ladies, have you ever been love bombed before by a guy? Have you ever come on strong in a romantic sense only to disappear later? Yes. What happens on the show? By the way, think of how many women he kept sending home. They weren't getting the rose. Well, he romanced the heck out of them, and then he sends them home because it creates a false sense. and even the bachelorette he chose at the end, Teresa, it was all built on a lie. But that's no different than what's happening in the real world. Many of you are experiencing relationships built on a lie, built on a fantasy, built on artificial intimacy. In particular, it's texting. How's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day. I'm thinking of you. Are you thinking me? Oh, I'm thinking of you. Are you thinking of me? Oh my God, I'm so happy we're thinking about each other. We're having such amazing, deep conversations talking about our day. This is the false sense of intimacy that is created. By the way, do you know, I really wonder, what was the depth of his conversations with any of these women? How deep did he go? Other than tell me a little bit. It's like no different than going to a high school reunion. Oh, how many kids do you have? What do you do for a living? How many kids do you have? What do you do for a living? How many kids do you have? What do you do for a living? How many kids do you have? What do you do for your living? Are your parents still alive? Are your parents still alive? Are your parents still alive? That's the equivalent of high school reunions, and that's about the amount of data he found out about every person. Number 5, lack of vetting before sex. Okay, how deep did they go asking the deeper questions of compatibility before he was, I'm assuming he was physically intimate with Teresa on the fantasy suites. But any of these guys on The Bachelor or Bachelorette, it seems like they're hooking up. But are they really vetting the person before they do the fantasy suites? Well, the same thing is happening today. Many women are sleeping with men who they barely know. There's little or no trust built. Folks, do you realize it takes about 100 hours of face-to-face time just to build the first layer of trust? But Jonathan, I'm in a long-distance relationship. I can't see him. Yeah, you have text relationships with people thinking you built trust. Trust happens in the experience of doing shit together. That's how you build trust, is through experiences. And they barely had, he had all these romantic experiences, helicopters, yachts, driving, a Stingray down, Highway 1 in Pacific Coast Highway. It was all a fantasy. But again, was he really asking the deeper questions? In fact, it sounded like he asked them all on the last night, and that wasn't enough time. Number 6, and this mirrors real life. Do you remember when the show ended and we found out all these secrets about Gary or Jerry or whatever the heck his name is, Gary? You found out that he actually had he wasn't just a widower that has been pining over his wife who passed away 6 years ago, that he actually lived with a woman briefly. See, we oftentimes find out things after the fact, after you've slept with someone. You find out all the real details. This is no different than the reality show. We find out a lot more when we actually get to know someone in real life. Okay, I mean, in day-to-day life with someone, we find out more about them, and that's the same thing that happened on this TV show. And number 7, and this is the reason why they ended their relationship. Lifestyle compatibility for those of us in the over 40 crowd has to address. We have children. Some people have grandchildren. They have professional lives. They have their own, they have their routine where they live. And each one of, they basically said they weren't able to blend their lifestyles together. Hey, this happens in real life all day long. People are choosing relationships with people that are not compatible with them because, again, as I said before, they're not doing the true vetting early on before there's physical intimacy. And then this couple got married and they barely knew each other. So it's no wonder it had a crash, took off like a rocket and crashed and burned. And this is very similar to real life. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Also, if you appreciate this video, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos as well. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call, to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery, to follow me on Instagram, to get all the books I recommend. They're listed below. And by the way, if I haven't mentioned my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work, there's a link below to get a copy of my book. All right. Those who know my live format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, write the word question in the chat box, or you can, and then post the question thereafter, or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. All of the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's a picture of him right there. It's my son who passed away over 5 years ago. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institutes, and we give scholarships to coaching as well. So again, hit that little dollar sign. Our goal tonight is $50. We'd appreciate some love. And if you want to join the hot seat, there's a link right there. You can join me live and we can have a conversation live with everybody else. All right. Let's see. Annika is in the house. Jonathan, are these things we should take away that are positives from this experience, how it mirrors real life? I think, we oftentimes criticize reality shows as being fake, but it mirrored real life in many ways. At least these 7 points, there might have been 10. I could have come up with possibly 10, but I came up with 7. But yeah, well, the takeaway is awareness, being aware that this is what we're faced with in midlife dating. And so, the most important thing is that vetting before being physically intimate, romance and attraction creates a false sense of intimacy, and lifestyle compatibility is critically important to the success of a relationship. I didn't even talk about emotional maturity, but that really wasn't addressed in the show. So yes, it does mirror. That's how it mirrors real life. Laura wants to know, did Gary lie? I think we all lie to ourselves. So I don't know if he lied. I can't know that. But I certainly think he fudged a lot, which mirrors midlife. It mirrors midlife. We downplay our past relationships because we don't want to be judged. So he might have downplayed his experiences. He might have wanted to look like a hero, being a widower and all. So it's possible. Kathleen is in the house. I'm a widow and now dating. I've had 2 short-lived relationships, each 2 months. Neither could apologize or say I'm sorry. Why did they find it so difficult? What are your thoughts? The human psyche is rather fragile, in my opinion. The human psyche is rather fragile. And when someone has to admit a wrongdoing, that could really disrupt a person's sense of reality for themselves. Okay. I'm not saying all, but I could. So for many people, women as well, I know women that have a hard time apologizing. This isn't singular to men. But I think most humans' egos are rather fragile, and that's part of the reason why. So it's difficult for them to admit ownership because that requires looking in the mirror. And most humans don't look in the mirror. They point the finger at people. So that's just my rough perception on that. If you had a specific situation, I could probably give you more insight. Okay. Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate it. Jane Spitfire, Jonathan, is right. Humans barely know each other. Most of these dating quickie matchups do not work out. Yeah, it takes time to really get to know someone and feel safe with someone. Yeah, we don't spend enough time. Hey, Debbie is giving us a $10 super sticker. Thank you for the love. That means we are $40 away from our goal tonight. So thanks for the love. Julie, I feel very compatible with the guy I'm seeing, but I still miss my ex, my first love, who is toxic. What should I do? If I was the guy you were dating, I'd be really pissed. I'm being blunt. I'd be pissed. that you still hold the torch for someone else. I think what you possibly are hoping for, that this person might change that, but you have to let go and heal your past relationship, because I don't think it's fair to the guy you're with. How would you feel if this were the other way around? He kept the torch for his ex who was toxic. How would it feel if this were the other way around? You would want him to heal, but it's not fair. It wouldn't be fair to you. So why is it fair to him? That's just my rough thoughts on that. But what you should do is let go of your previous relationship, emotionally speaking, cut the cord, heal from that, because I don't think it's fair to the guy you're seeing. See, I think if it were the other way around, how would you feel? Okay. Annika gave us a $10 super sticker. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. Megan says, I have a masculine mindset, but I'm still very feminine. The guy I like is very masculine, but has the feminine mindset. He did express interest initially. You agree balance is best. I believe we label things masculine and feminine that is oftentimes mischaracterized, number one. I don't subscribe to that labeling. I believe when a person is a well-balanced person, we don't need to label it masculine or feminine. It's just a well-balanced person. And when I think two well-balanced people get together, they have greater chance of relationship success. That's how I view it. There's no need to label it masculine or feminine. That's just my perception. Okay. All right, let's go to Annika has a question. Can I expect that a man would really love me unconditionally, or is it just reserved for self-love? Do we all have different definition of unconditional love? I think there's a Chris Rock joke that says only dogs and women are loved unconditionally. Men are conditionally loved. I think relationships are conditional. I think relationships are conditional. I think it's rare that we feel unconditional love. I think the closest we ever come as humans, at least in my mindset, is with our children, because it's a one-sided relationship. See, think about it. We as parents give to children. They rarely give to us in the same way. I mean, they might give us our time. They might say, I love you, but it's usually a one-sided dynamic. Even dogs are one-sided. I mean, all they do is love and, lick on you kind of thing. But I think when you're in relationship, I think relationships are conditional. I think love inherently is just an action of giving. And the capacity to receive is a component in that. But I do believe relationships are conditioned. They're based on conditions, like you make agreements and promises, you agree to monogamy, exclusivity, fidelity, support. Those are all part of the agreements, because when those agreements aren't met, we end a relationship. But I do believe love in and of itself is unconditional, but relationships are conditional. And the closest thing we ever come to unconditional love is our children. That's my belief system. Okay, thank you for that question. Linda, I'm a widow of 2.5 years. Why is it so difficult for men to communicate? What is meant by long-term casual relationship? Well, most men and women struggle actually articulating their feelings in a way that's seen, heard, and understood, or actually making a stand for those feelings. So that's true for men. That's true for women as well. What is meant by long-term casual relationship? I guess it depends on what's our definition of long-term. Is long-term 1 year? Is long-term 5 years? Is long-term 10 years? You can have a 10-year relationship that's casual, meaning they're not building any deep roots of trust. That could be long-term. Casual simply means there's not a building of a life together. It's just spending time together. Folks, if you're not familiar with my 3 types of people actively dating, here's a chart. Okay. By the way, this is not a fact. It's merely an opinion. 3 tips. Okay. There are users, spenders, and grower builders. Okay. Users seek short-term gain. Love bombers, players, gold diggers, entitled, selfish people only care about own needs. Spenders seek connection, companionship, and sex. No direction, uncertainty, fearful, usually have a dysfunctional life. They spend time. You are a placeholder to them. Or the grower builders. Those seek long-term commitment, emotionally grown up, good relationship skills, have their act together. They seek long-term commitment. Casual relationships are people that are spenders. They're just spending time together. Okay? So that they're just spending time together. They're not building anything together. Okay? I hope that helps. Gigi's in the house. What are your thoughts about this? I'm seeing a lot of written with research about men in their 60s not wanting to get involved in relationship or marriage. Yes, this is true for a lot of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s. Men and women alike aren't looking to get remarried. They felt most likely have felt burned in their past, so they don't want to fully commit to another person. What is full commitment? I will take care of you. Better for worse, sickness and health. That's what full commitment is. And a lot of people don't want that responsibility. They're okay with spending time with you, but without the benefit of I'll take care of you. You know, to me, real love, and this is love, fully committed relationship love is, I will wipe the vomit from your face when you're going through chemotherapy. You know, when you're in a casual relationship, you don't have to do that. You can just move on to the next person if someone gets sick. So just to be aware, that's what I'm encouraging everyone to be in partnership-based relationships where you know that person's going to be there for you if you get sick. But Jonathan, I don't want to be a nurse and I don't want to be a purse. Well, guess what? For those of us in midlife, you know, listen, my father passed away at 98, okay? He's the exception. He's not the rule. The reality is if you're 60, the days in front of you are shorter than the days behind you. The average age of life is 79. So if you're 65, 14 years is the best you got. You want to, you know, I'm sorry. That's just the reality we're faced with. I mean, yes, there are exceptions to that rule. But part of being in a relationship is being there for one another. At least that's my opinion anyway. Angela, do you think age gap in midlife is an issue? Me 51, him 63 and retired. I always feel perception. I always feel perception I am for the money, but I'm independent, just annoyed with being with them. 50 and 63 is midlife, okay? You know, if he's with a 35-year-old, most likely 25-year-old, yeah, we know she's there for the money. But that's a perception you're making up in your head. Nobody else is judging you that way. And if they are, fuck them. Who gives a flying fuck the age of the person you're dating? But if you have a problem with it, then you have to reconcile that for yourself, because that's not fair to him. That's not fair to you either if you two genuinely love each other. Okay, Angela? All right. Jane is in the house. Do you think females should try and see the whole person and not individually judge him too soon? Yeah. I mean, I think, look at, if you meet someone who just broke up with somebody yesterday and they were in a 10-year relationship, that's not judging them. That's being discerning. Okay. As an example, you don't need to know that he's a great guy to know he's probably not emotionally ready. So if he's 10 pounds overweight, 30 pounds overweight, do you want to look at the big picture? I would think so. People can always lose weight, but they can't change their experiences without healing. But that's a whole nother conversation. So yeah, I would say it depends on if it's an ego-based judgment of him, see the bigger picture. If it's, hey, He's probably not healed from his last relationship because they broke up 35 seconds ago. Yeah, you may want to say, hey, I'm going to judge him individually. Okay. Laura, can you please fill us up with on why Gary and Teresa divorced? Oh my God, you guys can Google that. But I mean, basically they said they couldn't blend their lives together. That was the reason why. Hey folks, I'm going to do a short live. Oh, Megan, thank you for the $10 super sticker. I really appreciate it. Folks, oh, wait a minute. We saw another one here. And Roller Girl with the $2 super sticker. Thank you so much for the love. Hey folks, I'm going to head out early tonight. My car lease is up and I'm getting a new car. I'm just trading in one car for another. So I'm going to go take care of that right now. Plus, I'm just a little bit tired. I do want to say something before I wrap up. I got a letter today from someone who had done the Hoffman process. Actually, she didn't put her name is Chrissy. Here's the letter, 5 pages. Okay. Folks, she shared with me that she didn't have a traumatic childhood the way some of her friends have had. In fact, I was watching something on HBO called Mean Girl Murders. And I recognize, and by the way, what I'm bringing up is I recognize that there are a lot of people that were raised in really horrific experiences. But believe it or not, most of us have had trauma to some degree. So this woman who went to the Hoffman process didn't think she at first didn't think that she needed it. But what she got out of the experience, and by the way, if you're not familiar with the Hoffman process, I highly recommend checking out the book, The Hoffman Process. In fact, this past weekend, I did a one-day workshop in Los Angeles. Hoffman Process. This is an organization that helps you heal your childhood wounds and traumas that cause negative patterns and limiting beliefs in your life and allows you to, it creates tools to help you shift. Her sincere appreciation for the experience, she sent me a beautiful, heartfelt letter. I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am that somebody decided to work on themselves, to find that space within them that maybe is blocking them from whether it's attracting their ideal relationship or just living a life with some level of peace. So can someone write in the chat box Hoffman Process? And I invite you all to go to their website. I make no money doing this, okay? I'm here, I donate to them thousands of dollars a year to help with their scholarship fund. Not thousands, but hundreds of dollars a year, excuse me, to help with their scholarship fund. Because I donate to multiple places, so it equals several thousands of dollars a year by the generous donations you guys give each video through the super chats. Many of us, myself included, want a significant life partner. It requires, if you want to be in what I call a juicy, delicious, healthy, happy relationship, it requires healing from our past, learning good communication skills so we can navigate the challenges in relationship, and it requires some self-love. I'm a big proponent of everyone investing in themselves because, quite frankly, do you need another pair of shoes? Or would it be more beneficial to heal your heart? And that's what I'm a big proponent. I invest probably close to 10% of my earnings each year in some sort of personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. And I'm inviting you all to do the same. Tithe for yourself healing. And that's my invitation. And I want to thank Chrissy for this beautiful letter that she sent me. I'm hoping you're watching this, who recently, and it was in Australia. She went to the Hoffman Process in Australia, Singapore. So there's one in California. There's one on the East Coast. I think there's 14 different centers. Check out the Hoffman Process. Go Google that right now. And I'm sharing this with you because when you heal your heart, it doesn't matter if you find the love of your life. You already have the love of your life within yourself. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos as well. All right. Hey, if you want to connect with me, check out the links to schedule a discovery call, to join my group Midlife Love Mastery, to find me on Instagram, to get the books I recommend, and to get my dating vows, all listed below. And I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, giving myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Barrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank Julie and Debbie and Jennifer and Annika and everyone who donated, and Laura and Roller Girl and Maureen and Jane Spitfire and True Morris and T and Catherine and let's see else. All of you. Megan, thank you for the love. Let's see. And Debbie, I said Debbie twice. Folks, wishing you a super duper wonderful, fantastic evening. Be well. Thanks. Bye now. Bye.